Hi friends, it's Slamko. Let me congratulate you all. For the first time ever, a solo album by a Metallica member has been released. I mean Kirk Hammett's Portals. And why is this so unprecedented? Metallica, James Hetfield in particular, has been known for being so strict in this regard. By the time the ice melted and we got some non-Metallica projects by Metallica members, namely by Kirk Hammett and Robert Trujillo, and now a full-blown solo project named, literally, Kirk Hammett. And this is huge. But we didn't discuss what led to it, why Metallica allowed Kirk Hammett make his solo album in a video a couple of months ago when it was announced. But now let's discuss the music, the album, EP itself. What is there? Where do the portals lead? And how Kirk Hammett reveals himself as a composer, not being tied within Metallica boundaries and not having Lars around. And what does this EP say us about the future Metallica album? Because Kirk is still part of Metallica. Alright, let's see what we got there. So in general, did the album disappoint or exceeded my personal expectations? Well, actually, I did not have time to have my expectations set to some level, to overhype about it, because I actually forgot about Kirk Hammett releasing the solo album because, this thing happened called war in Ukraine. Yeah, I had some stuff to do. And then all of a sudden, oh my god, fuck, Kirk's EP is coming up. So yeah, here I am. No expectations at all. I just knew that it's gonna be instrumental, and I suppose it's gonna have some bluesy and jazzy and everything else that Metallica did not allow Kirk to use recently. The track number 1 and number 3 can claim for some artistic value and for being part of musical legacy or something. But the tracks number 2 and 4, well, they cannot do that, to say the least. Especially the second track, called The Gin. If Kirk Hammett put enough, or even less efforts into that one, it would have been a total creative disaster. But let's first discuss the good stuff, the first and the third track. The first track, really great opening. As I listened to it, I actually expected old habit, some Metallica turns, some Metallica moves, some Metallica flow. But Kirk Hammett did it his own way with the help of arrangers. Kirk does what he wants, and he does it really well on the first track. Very vibey, it has a riff, it has a structure, and it felt like it prepares us for the real shit to come. And the second track, fuck, it really feels like a bunch of not even riffs and melodies, everything that just, like Kirk Hammett could have composed at night, having some dope, and just recorded random stuff and then not even editing it, send it to the arranger, say, throw some symphony on there. And that's basically it for 7 minutes. And I would not be surprised if it's the very recording he recorded being on dope. Because sometimes the guitar sounded even detuned or something. And the same, but to a lesser extent, applies to the fourth track. At least it has some universal flow, some even low-ish vibe, a sense, a meaning to it. But not to the point to make it a really good song. And when the very, very drum part from Am I Evil started, oh my god, man, that's the original stuff you retained for us. For all these years that Metallica suppressed your creativity, you had so much inside to tell to the world via your guitar. It pretends to be progressive, but it's actually just a bunch of stuff. The real progressiveness is when you make these real, seemingly random pieces and connect them in a way it makes sense. It makes a flow, makes composition via transitions and modulations and stuff. And half of the album is just pretending to be progressive. But again, the 2 tracks, first and third, are really good. It's like the opposite. 2 tracks, 8 out of 10. And 2 tracks, 3 and 5 out of 10, something like that. It's like he had 2 really elaborate pieces, and then he just needed 2 more to claim it EP. Because it's not a single, 2 singles, and so I really have this dissonance in myself. Half of the album is really great, even better than Hardwired, I would say. And half is borderline Lulu in terms of inspiration. 8, 3, 8, and 5, we have on average 6 out of 10 for the EP. But I would throw another point, 7 out of 10 for the debut, because it's still a very big deal, a huge deal in Metallica history. Well, Kirk Hammett is not the last person in metal and guitar world to listen to be inspired by. And his EP, instrumental one, may make some young guys to try that too. Just take your guitar and make some melodies, and that's enough to tell something to the world, and that everyone understands regardless language. And I'm sure there are no people who would comment on Kirk Hammett's Portals like, it needs vocals and stuff. Actually, might have been even better with vocals, especially James. But I had these comments on Bolavira channel all the time, like, this song would be even greater if it had singing. People forget that instrumental music can work too. Instrumental metal can work too. There's no shortage of instrumental bands for all these decades, like Steve Vai, Joe Satriani, the teacher of Kirk Hammett, who may inspire him to try it. And he's made this slogan, or the description of the album. This is the pieces, the music that helps you create films in your head, something like that. And did it succeed? The single actually helped create a video in my head. This is the video that was showed on YouTube, the music video. Very trippy one, there was a story into it, went really well with the composition, with the song. So in that regard, yeah. The first track, the opener, built some pictures too, but it did not really took it to the level I had a complete story in my head. And the two other tracks, of course, failed at that, because as soon as I started to have some visuals in my head, the song just turned upside down and sometimes it goes south and just ruined everything I started to see. And that happened like for 7 minutes, 10 times. And here's a funny coincidence, or maybe not. We don't hear wah in the two good songs, and we do hear wah in the two bad songs. So maybe that is a hint that the two good songs are elaborated, like in the good old days. And remember that Bob Rock actually mixed the album, but the producer was Kirk Hammett, as noted, so there was not that much of a kick in the butt. He was on himself doing what he wanted. He succeeded to a great extent on two songs, on half a EP. And the rest is pretending to be progressive and improvisation on the next level of subconscious transcendence. If you had a song that does not click, like it's almost there, but something missing there, put symphony on it. And in this case, even that did not help. Songs number 2 and 4. But one thing, if the album contained one thing, it would have pulled it off. Even despite the fact that half of it is still junk. It's a really big, elaborate, fade to blackish kind of solo. We have some lead parts here and there, but there was no this really epic one that we know and love Kirk Hammett's for. And the closest one to get to it was in the lead single. But as soon as it picked up some steam and phrasing went really, it stopped. If it was at least 50% longer to conclude the phrasing, I would easily give another point to the entire album to make it 8 out of 10. And that would sure give us more hope for future Metallica record. So what we can say about the future Metallica album, the 11th album, having this kind of predecessor, it can go in either direction in terms of Kirk Hammett's contribution. We'll see, hopefully this year, but probably next one, unless Metallica give us a surprise all of a sudden, like with Hardwired. So what do you think about this one? Where do the Portals lead? And next up is Rammstein album. There's not many albums actually I care about to make a review on this channel, so we'll see. Thanks for staying here, it's Andriy Vaslenko, and be in metal.